Who wants to go next? Okay, Ella, go on. And just keep in mind, the shorter we keep it here, the more time that we'll have with them.
Sobre la cuestión de la cultura y la integración,
Talking about culture and integration.
yo creo que tenemos que tratar de elaborar como movimiento,
I think that we need to elaborate as a movement.
elaborar más porque ya hay elaboraciones,
Elaborate more because we've already elaborated.
modelos sociales que salgan del culturalismo.
Social models that come out of
Culturalism.
culturalism.
En el sentido que hay que relacionarse al hecho que, por ejemplo, yo digo Europa, el modelo culturalista y el tener como referencia a la comunidad de extranjero. In Europe, the culturalist model and take the community, national community, like the reference, sometimes is a problem. Porque para el gobierno es fácil
Because for the government it's easy
decir, tú representas a todos los peruanos,
to say you represent all Peruvians.
porque así piensa de haber hablado contigo
Because that way they want to talk to
y
you,
con todos los peruanos.
and then you'll talk to all the Peruvians.
En realidad yo no puedo representar a todos los peruanos,
But the truth is, I cannot represent all the Peruvians.
porque somos muy diferentes entre nosotros.
Because we're all very different.
Entonces creo que hay que trabajar sobre una cuestión que sea un modelo basado sobre la el pleno respeto y el pleno ejercicio de derechos.
So I think that we need to look at a model that looks at the person and respecting their rights. Full respect of their humanity and their rights.
También para evitar el racismo que existe entre las comunidades de extranjeros.
And that way we also avoid the racism that it exists in between different communities and communities of different foreigners or different nationalities.
En Italia es muy difícil poder unir a veces a la población magrebí con la población africana negra, por ejemplo.
It's very difficult, for example, in Italy to unite the community from Morocco with the African community, with the Black African community.
Y todo está en este comunitarismo y nacionalismo muy fuerte con el cual yo creo que hay que romper.
And we have to break with some of this nationalism, which is very, very strong.
Antes de ser culturas, somos personas.
Before we are a culture, we are human beings, we are people.
Y la otra cosa muy breve
The other
es
thing that very briefly I want to add is
sobre la cuestión de cómo hacer respetar las convenciones.
about how do we respect the convention.
Yo estoy de acuerdo con él en lo que ha dicho
I agree
completamente,
with Ellen completely and totally.
pero quiero hacer un discurso más entre casa.
But I want to have like a conversation like if we're at home.
Yo creo que tenemos un problema,
I think that we have a problem.
que todo el mundo lo siente, pero que nos cuesta trabajo decirlo.
That maybe we all believe, but it's difficult for us to express or to say.
Nosotros somos muy listos,
We're
muy capaces
we're very smart, we're very capable
de dividirnos siempre.
to always divide ourselves.
Cada uno tiene una campaña que es más bonita de la campaña del otro.
We each have a campaign which is better or nicer or prettier than the other campaign.
Cada uno tiene un contenido que es más radical que el del otro.
Each one of us has a theory that is more radical than the next person.
Cada red se piensa que ha descubierto la verdad
Each networks believe that they have discovered truth,
y estamos pagando eso.
and we are paying the price.
Los migrantes, la gente sin derechos, estamos pagando la división que hay en el movimiento.
Migrants, people without documents, people without rights, we're paying for this.
Y yo creo que tenemos que tratar en estos ámbitos de empezar a encontrar 1, 2 puntos
And I think that in forums like this, we need to start to find 1 or 2 points
que nos hagan ganar.
that make us win.
Ganar algo, porque son 20, 30 años que no ganamos nada.
Win something, because it's been 20, 30 years that we haven't won anything.
Y creo que lo necesitamos.
And I think that we need it.
Entonces, creo que probemos hacer un ejercicio esta vez
So I think that we need to put into practice, do something this time,
que de este foro
that in this forum,
el que ya tenía su campaña, esta vez salga compartiendo la campaña de otro.
somebody who came here with a campaign leave here now sharing it with someone else's campaign.
Que el que a veces no leía los emails de una asociación,
The one who maybe didn't read an association's emails
porque no son tanto mis amigos,
because they're not really my friends.
que esta vez pues se ponga la tarea de leerla y encontrar algo de positivo en todo lo que cada uno de nosotros hacemos.
That now we give ourselves this homework to read it and to find something that we agree with, something that we want to learn from.
Porque los nazis
Because Nazis
y la derecha
and the right
se está uniendo.
are coming together, are
Y
uniting.
en Grecia
And in Greece,
persiguen a los migrantes y los matan a golpes.
they are persecuting immigrants and they are beating them to death.
Y en Italia se crean partidos fascistas nuevamente.
And in Italy, new fascist parties are being formed.
Y nosotros seguimos pensando que uno es mejor que el otro.
And we keep thinking that one is better than another.
Yo creo, compañeros, que tenemos la responsabilidad moral
I think
de dejar,
that we have the moral responsibility
de dejar las tonterías de dividirnos entre nosotros y encontrar una unidad.
to stop the stupidity of dividing ourselves and to find unity.
Y espero que después de este foro,
And I hope that after this forum,
en el próximo foro de Túnez,
in the next forum in
en el
Tunisia,
2013,
in 2013,
en donde han hecho una revolución,
where they have led a revolution, where they have completed a revolution,
pero hacer las revoluciones no basta.
but it's not enough.
Espero que también esa sea una continuación y que para el próximo foro,
I hope that that is a continuation, and then for the next forum,
que no sabemos dónde nos encontraremos,
where we don't know where we will see each other,
hayamos al menos empujado todos juntos sobre una cosa.
that we would have all pushed together on one thing.
Ángela decía el otro día,
Angela was saying the other day,
el problema de que los migrantes somos criminales
the problem of criminalization, that
Es-
immigrants are criminals.
es un problema que tenemos en todos lados.
This is a problem that we all have.
Y si pensamos una campaña única a nivel mundial sobre la imagen del migrante como que no es criminal,
Imagine if we all worked together on a campaign, an international campaign that said that immigrants are not criminals.
es un ejemplo,
That's an example,
como tantos otros ejemplos.
with like so many other examples.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few more people. Let me just tell you, we began a few minutes late. Every minute that we go beyond 11 is one less minute that the workshops are going to have. So I had a goal beginning this panel to try to be done by 11 no matter what. But we are already like close to 15 minutes to 11. So I know that there are things that want to be said here, so go ahead, but just keep in mind that we're really running out of time.
We have talked about empowerment of us, the migrant workers. How do we empower ourselves? We have to insist that each country, all the documents or the labor laws that's available to us must be in our own language. How else will we understand what the documents mean? Even like they call the agents and the people bringing us into the country, they should have the rules there and they should make it available to us so that we understand what is my right as a worker in this country. We're talking in South Africa about skills development for domestic workers. And what we're saying when we talk about skills development for domestic workers, we are speaking about all domestic workers, irrespective if you're a migrant worker. And just for the fact, in South Africa, we seldom use the word migrant workers. They call us refugees or foreigners. And that is the word they use in South Africa. They seldom go to migrant workers. But the refugees is the same as the workers coming into our country illegally, and then they have to see that they get documents. So all I need to say is that we need, again, like the lady from Italy was saying, yes, we need to empower ourselves. And we have to remember there will always be divisions, there will always be differences. But if we, and I want to stress this point, if we in South Africa that was living in the apartheid years, and I've been a domestic worker when everything that the master said was law, I could not disobey the master. If we can do it, my challenge is, why can you not do it? If we could free ourselves in South Africa, you can do it. As migrant workers, as refugees, you can do it. And what I meant as a migrant worker in my own country is because I had no voice. It's because they didn't know my color. They had to go look what color I am. And this is what I meant about South Africa, is that I was a foreigner, a stranger in my own country. But I made sure that today we have a domestic workers union. We are in South Africa, we are vocal. We've been part of the ILO. We've been one of the leader figures as the international domestic workers. So again, I said, we can overcome all this if we work together to free ourselves.
Thank you. There we go. Let me just build upon this last comment, because I hear often presentations like the one Eda just delivered, calling for unity. And I think honestly that the notion that all immigrants have to behave like one unit is still a very ghetto mentality about who we are. I mean, the reality is we are a collection of multiple identities and multiple diversities. And I don't think that the notion that we all will march in a single line is necessarily realistic. I do believe that most migrant organizations and most organizations altogether, forget about migrants, we do suffer of one serious disease. We have not learned the value of collaboration and cooperation with one another. And we have not learned and command the beauty of finding ourselves in unity in action. Because we share the same way of thinking and the values, the utopia that Eda was talking about. So, I for one, at least in my 30-so years experience in the US, I tell you, I no longer seek unity. I do seek collaboration and cooperation among multiple parties that can manage to work together in spite of the fact that the notion of a single organization or a single movement, it's probably not going to happen. As a matter of fact, if you look at the changes throughout history over the last 30 years, I think it's really not any more realistic. That there will be a single, movement. But what we can aspire, and we should aspire, is to be able to be more effective at collaborating and cooperating with one another. So, any last comments in this end of the table? All right, very good.
To talk quickly on this theme of empowerment of ourselves and creating joint struggles and that sort of thing, I'd really like to echo and emphasize something that Edna said, and something that actually resonated in everyone's presentations, which was the importance of us being the protagonists of our own struggles, not to be determined by any other bodies than ourselves, and to determine our resistance on our own terms. Which is why also I'd like to kind of bring into question or problematize, kind of give a critique of the human rights framework or an international law-oriented framework. As Eda pointed out, this was born in a period of colonialism, actually in a period when decolonization movements were happening, but in which a new form of hegemony was being born. Interestingly, in 1948, which is when a whole new era of colonialism was happening in Palestine. So I think we need to be wary and hesitant of reinforcing these kind of hegemonic juridical structures and bodies and discourses of human rights, of international law. And I would propose as an alternative to this rights-based frameworks or human rights discourse, justice-centered discourses, which are determined by indigenous struggles, by people's struggles, and by the justice of our causes. It derives legitimacy and holds accountability to oppressed peoples and indigenous peoples and the justice of their own struggles, rather than putting legitimacy in and holding accountability to international structures, hegemonic structures, and conventions and rights. So I think it's really important that we be mindful of that and kind of determining our own resistance and not relying on these human rights frameworks that are set up for us, and in the end really reproduce the systems of domination and oppression that we see today.
Thank you. Ellen, some last comment?
Thank you. Maybe just the final word is, for all the deficiencies of the UN and the ILO, I think they become quite important as a starting point when you try to address migrants' rights. Because rights of migrants are like, they cross borders, and the expression of these rights are reflected on the national legislations and policies, but then who would say that theirs is the one that should be the basis for making sure that migrants enjoy their human and labor rights? I'm not saying it's a perfect thing, but I think it's a good way to start. You have some conventions to start off, labor standards to start things off, and as we say, or as the UN says, states as duty bearers have responsibilities and obligations to make sure that all the human rights, all people within their territory are taken care of. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Well, listen, we have actually very little time, so we will probably be able to entertain maybe one round of 5 questions. And I insist, please make them questions. If you can address the question to anybody in particular in the panel, great. If you make your question general, I will ask the most appropriate person to answer in the panel, because we are really running out of time and we don't want to take time away from the workshops. So I see a gentleman here already, so please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. My question is to Mr. Abdul Ahmed Al-Jabri. Since you brought up this issue of the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar, my question is that we all know that we have about close to 1 million people working as migrants in very bad conditions, and we also know that there is a campaign which is going that we should talk to the Qatari government about improving the standards. How serious are we in blacklisting or in taking action against this government, where 1.5 million new jobs have been created, as been mentioned in the Human Rights Watch June 12 issue, and contracts have already been signed. There is a campaign which is ongoing, but the government has already recruited thousands of people to work for the stadium. So if worse comes to worse, are we going to put pressure and tell them, look, if you don't improve the standards, we are not going to participate in your World Cup? Thank you.
Second question, take note please, because we're going to take 5 questions and then we just address them, okay?
Okay, good morning everyone. I'm Joselito Natividad from the Asia Pacific Mission for Migrants. I would like to direct this question to Mr. Jamri. Given that the UN is instrumental in the formation of the GFMD, and also that the GFMD is known to be more focused on remittances rather than rights or migrant human rights, how does the UN, and specifically your committee, intend to integrate the rights-based approach within the GFMD? Thank you.
Okay, that's the third question. Go ahead, please.
I'm Sister Lizzie from India, working with the Domestic Workers Movement and also partner MFA. My question is to Myrtle. I understand that Myrtle has come a worker to the level today, being able to sit here, and she's really happy that C-189 has happened. My question is to her is that, are you happy with the labor rights that has been inscribed in that convention? What about social protection? How do you work towards the realization of social protection along with labor rights?
I come from Morocco. My question is to Mr. Jambre. According to official sources, more than 4 million Rwandan nationals live out of Morocco. And in Morocco, we have 20,000 migrants coming from sub-Saharan countries, such as Cote d'Ivoire, Congo, and so on and so on. Among these 20,000 migrants, we have 800 refugees. Morocco ratified the Geneva Convention relating to the status of refugees. Morocco was the second country to sign the international convention that protects migrant workers and the members of their family. Morocco also ratified the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, and so and so. But today, the reality is Morocco is the violation of the basic social rights of these migrants. The migrants are victims of repression. The migrants are victims of deportation toward the border between Algeria and Morocco. This place is called Wsfm. The police arrest the migrants every day and everywhere. Even sometimes their houses are forced by the police. So, however, according to the first article of the law 0203, Morocco is bound to the international obligation. Now, my question is this: what is your reaction facing this situation? What do you do to push the Moroccan authorities to respect their engagements?
Thank you, back. And the
Union. I'm a Filipina, but I am based and working in Hong Kong as a domestic worker. The Federation have started already in Hong Kong for Federation of Asian Nationalities of Domestic Workers Trade Unions. Is it possible for us that we are going to organize a global domestic workers network? Since IDWN now is on process to do this, is it possible for us that we're going to help this with the migrant domestic workers organizations?
are you addressing the question to anybody in particular?
Anybody in the panel can answer this, please.
Very good. Okay.